Bishop, Brancatelli.
Joe Jones is here.
Thank you. Brancatelli,
Here.
Hairston, Casey,
Present.
Mooney. Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Okay, the following meetings held during the COVID-19 emergency declaration will be conducted as virtual meetings in accordance with Ohio's open meetings laws, as amended by Sub-House Bill number 197. The public may observe these meetings on YouTube, also channel 20. For more information, go to Cleveland City Council's website. Desiree, are you ready?
Yes.
Ordinance number 656-2020 by Council Members Johnson and Kelly by Department of Request, authorizing the Director of Public Works and Finance to enter into one or more contracts with the Cleveland Metropolitan School District to conduct recreational, cultural, and extracurricular programs for the benefit of school children during the 2019 and 20 school year. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you see, Desiree Powell, the Director of Extracurricular Activities, is on with us from Cleveland Municipal School District. This is our annual allotment for the school district that pays for extracurricular activities. They call it with SEEP for the 2019 and 20 school year. So again, these are things that we've been funding, sir, out of the parking tax since 1995. And any questions you have, Ms. Powell is here to answer. Thank you.
Director, that's a good program. How many years do we have to go with that?
Mr. Chairman, there was no end date on this legislation as I remember back in 1995, a long time for me to remember. But it was just a matter of us funding these extracurricular activities at that time. So I did not, there is no end date in the original ordinance.
Okay, Director, I thought it was 30 years, but have somebody on your staff check that, would you please?
I'll have a law look at it, okay?
Great. Desiree, has anything changed from last year?
The report that we were going over was for 2018, 2019, because for 2019-20, it officially ended on June 30th of 2020. So our new evaluator will start doing the data that you'll receive next year for the 2019-2020. In 2018-2019, there were approximately 42% of the student population of the enrollment in CMSD that you or participated in the activities that the SEEP program funds. We're working to increase, we've done some things to change, for instance, how we handle the chess program. And there's discussions going on now to see whether or not we could use those funds for the principals for the middle schools to see if they can do esports in the future. We're trying to see if they can use that differential and choose to do esports maybe instead of something else, since that has really gone into interest with the youth.
Ms. Powell, because there's no school, what are you doing this year?
Because the decision was to have remote learning, the decision also impacted the fact that there would be no athletics or extracurricular activities while we're in remote. So now we're waiting for October for the decision to come down whether or not we will continue remote after November 7th, or if we will go into a hybrid where the kids come to school 2 days a week and stay home 3 days a week. Once we remove out of remote, then we can start doing the extracurricular activities again and the athletics things.
Okay, it's a good program. I think we've had excellent success with it. Any questions by the committee? Hearing none. Without objection, ordinance number 656-20.
Mr. Chairman, I have my hands raised.
I don't see, where are you,
I have
Joe?
my hand raised, Mr.
Oh,
Chairman.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Joe.
All right. The question was, just for clarification, there's some money that's coming out of this account. What account is it coming out of? You know, and
This is
how much
parking tax revenues.
parking tax? How much money do we have currently in the parking tax revenue, Mr. Chairman, to the director?
Chairman, to the council, I would have to ask finance.
Would know.
Yeah.
You always never know.
No, I don't know.
So, Mr. Chairman.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. What did you say, Councilman?
You always, when I ask you a question, you always never know.
I don't think that's correct.
So
But
it was
that's what
like,
you want to say, that's fine.
Well,
I will get with finance because I don't keep up with the tax.
do
the
you have
parking
an
tax
idea,
revenue.
Mr. Chairman, to the director? What?
No, I don't, sir.
Mr. Chairman, do you know if we ever had, you know of any amount that we've ever had in that account?
I don't know the exact amount. I know that a couple of years ago.
I mean, go ahead. I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Really, you're always so mean.
Oh, I'm always.
Go ahead,
couple
Mr.
of
Chairman.
years ago.
Everywhere, it got to the point where I don't think.
Can we have one at a time, please?
And I don't even
Couple
like
of-
going there 'cause it
Couple
looks
of
so
years
bad.
ago,
So finally, this last week,
we had we used to give the school board $2 million a year instead of 1 million. It was changed and they shrunk the program, but they've been doing very well. How much is in the parking tax revenue? I have no idea. You got anything else, Joe? Joe, you got to unmute.
Yeah, I did. Someone keeps muting me on your side. So the question, Mr. Chairman, the reason why I was asking director, not to be confrontational, but I never just seem to get the answer when I ask it right out. So it's frustrating to me as a member of Cleveland City Council to ask a question and then not get it answered, and or to request information and then have to wait a long period of time to get that information. So, Mr. Chairman, the reasoning on this whole piece is that school is starting now, and for a lot of our young people in the city of Cleveland, I didn't know how much money we had in account. Do we have money, or have we talked about, Mr. Chairman, to the director, setting up and helping the Cleveland School Board set up opportunities where if they don't have coverage for internet access, are we helping out with that somewhere? Mr. Chairman, to the director.
Mr. Chairman, to the council, we have been working with CMSD on those issues. We have not finalized anything at this time. They have reached out to partners in the community that are putting setting space aside for internet access to their students. And again, we are working to see what we can do to help them with that.
You got anything else, Joe?
He's on mute.
You're on mute again, Joe.
Yeah, someone's muting me. I don't know who keeps pushing the button to mute me. As I begin to talk, I see you're muted too. So Mr. Chairman, to the director, you're muting even the director. So here's my thought is that I'm open, Mr. Chairman, to the director. And I don't know if we've looked into this, but there's a number of CMSD schools that are not covered right now for the internet access. I know this because I just got through talking to one of the main people who is responsible for, I can't think of the name of the media place. Well, whatever the name of them is, they're here local. And they're saying that they need to get in and do more to cover the entire city of Cleveland, and that's not the case right now. So is there someone, Mr. Chairman, that can look into that? Then I would not be opposed to using some of these funds to help with that proposition, depending on what's in those funding accounts.
The council president is taking the lead on that because they're working on some other stuff. I will contact him to see where they're at with it.
Okay, there's no further questions, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Director.
Thank you, Councilman.
Without objection, 656-2020 stands approved.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Desiree. Ordinance number 443-2020 by council members McCormick, Johnson, and Brackatelli by department request, authorizing the director of capital projects to issue a permit to DI Rentals LLC to encroach into the public right-of-way beneath West 20th Place by installing, using, and maintaining an underground electrical conduit. Director. Who's sitting in for the, oh, Matt, are you
I'm
here?
here. I'm here, Councilman. How are you this morning?
I'm fine. How you doing this morning?
Good. Yeah, so this encroachment is for DI Rentals. They will be coordinating their efforts with the illuminating company to eliminate some old poles and transformers and wires at the West 20th Place Alley. And then the developer will install at his sole cost and expense conduit for underground electrical service. Their encroachment for underground electrical conduit request cuts across the public right of way of West 20th Place, and the rest of the underground conduit system is on private property that they hold. We do have consent from Councilman McCormick for this encroachment.
Anybody got any questions about this? Without objection, 443-2020 stands approved. Ordinance number 444-2020 by Council members McCormick, Johnson, and Brackatelli by Department of Request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to Hadass Window Pane LLC to encroach into the public right-of-way of Prospect Avenue by installing, using, and maintaining one embedded mass medallion, trash receptacle, 4 bronze benches, 8 bronze and concrete planters. Director?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this process is renovation and reuse of the historic May Company building that fronts on Public Square and backs up to Prospect Avenue. The build out of over 300 1 and 2 bedroom apartments will begin in this area in the heart of downtown to renovate the area. And it has interior, off-street public and private parking to support the downtown business as well as part of its development. So we do have consent from Councilman McCormick for the encroachment.
Okay, anybody got any questions about this encroachment? Hearing none, ordinance number 443-2020 stands approved. Ordinance number 445-2020 by Councilmember McCormick, Johnson, and Brackatelli by Department of Request, authorizing the Director of Capital Projects to issue a permit to Ohio City Legacy LLC to encroach into the public right-of-way of Lorraine Avenue, West 25th Street, Gearing Street by installing, using, and maintaining basement shoring tie-back rods, a building canopy, and 2 building-mounted pylon signs. Director?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yeah, this is a development at that location for Market Square. And it'll be a large mixed-use development across the street from the west side market. So this encroachment will allow for them to install their foundations and also give them the ability to put a pylon sign for their new development, as well as some building canopies that are going to protrude out over into the airspace of our right of way. So that's basically what their encroachment will achieve. We do have consent from Councilman McCormick for this encroachment.
Okay, anybody got any questions about 445? Hearing none, ordinance number 445-2020 stands approved. Ordinance number 446-2020 by Council members McCormick, Johnson, and Brackatelli by Department of Request, declaring the intent to vacate a portion of Lorraine Court. Director?
Chairman, yeah, this ordinance will allow Tremont West, who was awarded a grant from Tremont Trek, to purchase and install bike racks along Professor Avenue. And so they'll be able to do that. There'll also be, there'll be 22 bike racks that they'll be able to install throughout the area.
Anybody got any questions about the bike racks? Without objection, ordinance number 446-2020 stands approved. Ordinance number 523-2020 by Council members McCormick, Brackatelli, Zone, and B. Jones, an emergency ordinance to amend section 131-06, duties of special events manager of the codified ordinance of Cleveland, Ohio, 1976, as amended by ordinance number 1516-11, passed December 5th, 2011, 131-07, special event permits, as amended by ordinance 164-18, passed March 5th, 2018, and 131-30, duties of the Commissioner of Recreation, as amended by ordinance number 1330A, 10, passed December 6, 2010 to eliminate the administrative requirement to hire police officers for block parties and small neighborhood-based community events. This, who's here for this?
Director, Councilman, I am, and
Okay,
my
well, it
special
doesn't
events
matter.
manager.
It doesn't matter, Director. I really want to send this to the committee of the whole at our next council meeting rather than discuss it with us few.
Could I inject one thing though? The only thing that we had, that we wanted to talk about, sir, was where the permit sits. I would prefer that
We don't have it.
events.
We don't have the permit. The permit is still on the administrative side. We don't have it.
Yes, I'm saying, so your legislation talks about the duties of the Commissioner of Recreation. And I would like for this permit to sit with special events, not with the Commissioner of Recreation, which that's where the permit starts at this time.
Right.
And the reason for that, sir, is that sometimes some of the block parties have other things that they put into streets like bounce houses and other amenities. And I would prefer that they come to special events and go through special events so we can ask those questions, because there are some other permits that are required for those kind of amenities to be put into the street, such as, through license and assessment. So it would be the only the only issue that we have is that it references the Commissioner of Recreation instead of special events manager handling the permits. And we have designed a new permit that we will share with this body so that everything is captured.
Okay, that's fine, Director. I agree with you. Matter of fact, it never should have been put in recreation.
So when I was commissioner, it was there. It's been there for a while. We just signed off on it, let it go. So,
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Yes, Tony.
On that point, doesn't the legislation already say with Commissioner of Recreation?
It's with the Commissioner of Recreation. They want to take it out of the Commissioner of Recreation and put it in special events where it should be.
Okay, so because we weren't changing the way the legislation was written that way, but now the administration's requesting that change?
Yes, the administration is requesting that change.
Okay, because this has been with the administration for a while, so this is the first we're hearing of this.
That's what they're doing with it. That's why I want to hear it with the committee of the whole. Well, I asked them to put that change in.
Okay, I'm just curious why the administration law department didn't make that recommendation when they reviewed this.
Well, I can't answer that. I don't know, but I asked them some time ago to do it.
Okay.
Anybody else got anything?
I would just request that the director ask the law department to make that amendment. It really doesn't have anything to do with this particular cause for this legislation, but that can be made as an amendment during administrative review before it comes up.
Mr. Leary, I'll do that. I'll do that, and I apologize to Councilman Brackatelli and the other members. Reading the legislation, we were going through the process. We have met with safety and members Blaine Griffin last year on this, and we've been working on as council requested information on these block parties. So I apologize again for the tardiness in doing that, Councilman Brackatelli.
No apology needed.
Okay, it's a matter of seating where I think it should be. Okay, and I will do that, Ms. O'Leary.
Anybody else got anything? All right, Kimberly, ask the council president to put this with the committee of the whole at the next council meeting, please.
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Ordinance number 557-2020 by council members McCormick, Santana, Johnson, and Brackatelli by department request, authorizing the director of capital projects to issue a permit to the Tremont West Development Corporation to encroach into the public right-of-ways within the Tremont neighborhood by installing, using, and maintaining 22 bike racks. Director?
Yeah, oops, sorry about that. I got my camera off there. Yes, Mr. Chairman, yeah, this will allow Tremont West to install 22 bike racks that they have through a grant to install. We do have consent from Councilman McCormick.
Anybody got any questions about McCormick's bike racks? Hearing none, ordinance number 557-2020 stands approved. Ordinance number 592-2020 by council members McCormick, Johnson, Brackatelli, and Kelly by department request, authorizing the director of capital projects or public works to enter into one or more agreements with the Cleveland County Port Authority for improvements to Irishtown Bend and Franklin Avenue, and authorizing the commissioner of purchasing and supplies to acquire, accept, and record all property necessary. Director?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, yeah, this is the two-phase projects. The Irishtown Bend work includes stabilizing the hill to prevent future movement of the hill along that area, and reconstructing the bulkhead and retaining wall in that area along the river, and repairing the Northeast Ohio Regional Sewer District's sewer line in the area, stabilizing the hillside, and reconstructing Franklin Avenue, which is a county road from West 25th to Columbus Road. And so that's what this project will authorize us to begin execution. The Cuyahoga County Port Authority is the lead agency, and they will be doing the hill stabilization work. And the county, Cuyahoga County, will be the lead on reconstructing Franklin Road, since Franklin Road's a county road. So the Irishtown Bend portion, that'll be led by the Port Authority's a $25.5 million project. The city's share for that project is $1 million. So our local share to secure those funds and be a partner in this project is the $1 million. And then the Franklin Avenue reconstruction, again, that's a county project, is about $2.1 million. And our local share for that project is about $429,000. So generally this ordinance will allow the city to make a $1.4 million investment and be able to leverage $27.7 million worth of capital improvements in that area. The design work, it will be completing in December of this year. Then there's a permitting process that will take us through September of next year. And then we plan on bidding and awarding a contract somewhere in the first quarter of 2022 and start construction either in the first or second quarter of 2022, with completion of most of the work by the fall or early winter of 2023. And that's what this ordinance covers.
Anybody got any questions about this?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you. In the legislation, it talks about acquire, accept, and record all property necessary. Will the city be acquiring any property as part of this project, or acting as a conduit for real estate on this?
Director?
Through the chair to Councilman Brancatelli, I don't have an answer to that question. I can get an answer to that question for you.
Okay, and thank you, Director. And if we can, so the second part of that question is, do we or the agencies, the county, have site control for all the property necessary and or permission for construction?
Director?
Understood. I will get an answer to those questions for the councilman.
Great. Thank you very much.
Anybody else? Without objection, ordinance number 592-2020 stands approved. Ordinance number 598-2020 by council members Polensek, Johnson, and Kelly by department request, authorizing the mayor to apply to the District 1 Public Works Integrating Committee and accept funding for the rehabilitation of East 185th Street from Nottingham Road to Pawnee Avenue, authorizing the director of capital projects to apply for and accept gifts, grants, and other funding to enter into contract with the AECOM Technical Services Incorporated for engineering and architectural services and other agreements, authorizing the Commissioner of Purchase and Supplies to acquire, accept, and record for right-of-way purposes, real property and easements, giving consent of the city of Cleveland to the Ohio Department of Transportation for the improvement and authorization the director to enter into local project administration agreements with the state of Ohio and cause payment to the state of Ohio by the city's share of the improvement. Director, what's the city's share? Director Sparns? You're on mute again.
Sorry, I was on mute. Sorry about that, Councilman. Yeah, the city share for this project is $1 million in road and bridge bonds. The project value is about $7 million. We are finishing up the design phase. Starting the design phase now. It'll be complete in August of 2021 and will be in construction in February of 2022.
Anybody got any questions about Palenci's project? Hearing none, ordinance number 598-2020 stands approved. Ordinance number 654-2020 by Councilmembers McCormick, Johnson, and Kelly by Department of Request, authorizing the Director of Public Works to enter into a grant agreement with the Downtown Cleveland Alliance to assist with the purchase, storage, and maintenance of an artificial tree for Winterfest at Public Square. Director?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you all know, we go out every year looking for pine trees to put at City Hall, Public Square, and we get another one to make wreaths that you see on the outside of City Hall, the Christmas wreaths. So we have come to it is a lot of man hours, it's a lot of time, and if you watch them put it into City Hall and on Public Square, it takes up a lot of man hours and time and cost for that. Downtown Cleveland Alliance, which is our partner in getting these trees and putting them up, asked that we look into that. They looked into an artificial tree, supposedly not one of the silver or gold ones, but a tree. It looks like a tree, so it's not one of those, those shiny trees. So we agreed, and the administration agreed to help them to purchase this artificial tree for Public Square. There's still some labor involved in putting the tree up, but it will not be the labor of going out. We sometimes go as far as Lorain County to look for trees. Trees are becoming a hard thing to find, nice trees. I think some people over at City Council, and I had a lot of people on the last couple of trees that we had put in the City Hall. They were not the prettiest trees in the world. They didn't fold out as much as they could, but that's what they're looking for us to do. The tree itself would be a 50-foot tree. It's called a conifer model. It retails for about $86,000 with installation and shipping. Our share would be $50,000 of that. They somewhere in the legislation it says something about storage and maintenance. I will have to talk with DCA about that. I'm not. We'll work that out. But we are asking permission to provide DCA with half the cost of the tree, the artificial tree, for the Public Square and the Winterfest festivities. We ask for your approval on this moving forward to put that money to DCA and purchasing the tree.
I think that's an excellent idea, Director. But how about the tree at City Hall?
Mr. Chairman, that's an excellent question because we're looking to do the same thing in City Hall, purchasing 2 trees, the same kind of tree, maybe not as big as this one, but a tree that would be nice, and we can use the same tree for like 7 to 10 years also, and keep it decorated. It comes decorated. I'm sorry. These trees come decorated with bulbs and lights, and so it would be good for City Hall too. So part of our response here is that we will be buying 2, one for City Hall and one for Public Square, and we'll find a smaller tree to make the Christmas wreaths with.
Now the 2 trees, that $86,000, did that cover the 2 trees? You're on mute, Director.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. No, no. The cost for the second tree is around our tree. Yeah, we're going through purchasing with that. That's a separate issue. We don't. This is because we're spending money with the outside entity that we had to have legislation. The second tree will cost around the same thing, and we're going through purchasing with that process, through an internal process to purchase that tree.
Okay. Anybody got any?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Joe.
So just want to make sure I get it correct. We're purchasing 2 trees. One of the trees we're paying $56,000 for, another one we're paying $86,000. Is that a total of $142,000, Mr. Chairman, to the director? Did I hear that right?
No, that's not correct. $86,000 for the tree that go on Public Square, and they are going to purchase and supplies for the tree at City Hall.
What was the cost?
So what are we doing here? Are we, so in this particular piece, we're going to be helping them pay for a Christmas tree. Is this a Christmas tree?
It's a Christmas tree. We're going to pay half the cost of it. We're going to
Which
pay
is
half of that
56,000. Is that 56,000, Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chairman,
No.
we're asking the council, we're asking for $50,000 to contribute to the tree on Public Square. Our
Okay.
tree, the tree that we're doing in City Hall, we have to bid out. And so we're waiting for the bids to come back so that because we have a process by which we have to go through. We'll know that.
So is that a part of this? That's not a part of this legislation.
No, it is not, sir.
Okay, so it's $50,000 just to assist with the tree on Public Square.
Correct.
And then the tree that we have in City Hall, is that like a new tree we buy every year, Mr. Chairman, to the director? Is it, or is that a, well, I mean, because I know we have a tree in City Hall. Is that a real tree, or is that a?
Mr. Chairman, to the council, there have been live trees that we go out and look for. People donate those trees. Again, it's been hard finding them. And when we do get them, there's been a lot of issues with how they look. We try to find the best tree, but we go as far as Lorain County, Ashtabula, to find trees that people would donate to us. So
Right.
that was the concern. And the trees have not been the best looking trees.
So how much have we paid for trees like that in the past, Mr. Chairman, to the director?
The trees in City Hall or the tree that donated, the tree that was donated on Public Square, the tree that's put in City Hall, and the other tree that we make small Christmas wreaths on, they were donated by citizens that came out of their private property.
So we've never paid for any Christmas tree in City Hall, Mr. Chairman, to the director?
No, we have not, Mr. Chairman, to the councilman.
All right, and so this time we'll look to maybe bid this out and then hopefully have a tree that we don't have to worry about. We can always reinstall it every year in City Hall. Is that what we're trying to do?
That's exactly what we're trying to do with the tree in City Hall. This legislation talks about the Public Square tree only.
Right, okay. All right, Mr. Chairman, no further questions. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Casey.
Mr. Chairman, to the director, has this decision already been made to put this artificial tree up in Public Square? And if so, who made that decision?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, decision was made between the administration and Public Square, DCA, that the cost and the time, I don't know if you remember last winter, this tree almost took off, right? Because we had a windstorm. The trees, Mr. Chairman, to the Councilman Casey, are very hard to find anymore. We cannot find people donating these trees. When we do find donated trees, it's because they want to get rid of them, and what we take and what we get are trees that are not very aesthetically pleasing. With these artificial trees, which are green and already lit, these trees will be there. We'll be able to use these trees for 7 to 10 years, and they got a 7-year guarantee on them. So the decision was made between DCA and the administration. As I said, the cost of labor, looking for the trees, taking them, cutting them out of someone's yard, bringing them down here. If you've seen them, if you've ever observed our crews putting those trees in City Hall, we must have 20 people trying to get that tree up. So that's why the decision was made that this would be a better fit for us moving forward.
And then Mr. Chairman, to the director, so this means for the next, we'll say at least 7 years, that tree comes pre-lit and decorated, which means the tree will look the same for at least the next 7 to 10 years, we'll say.
Mr. Chairman, that's correct, to the council.
Mr. Chairman, please mark me as a no on this piece of legislation. Thank you.
All right. Is there anyone else?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
Thank you. To the director, you noted that we were getting these trees as donations, but who paid for the hauling and the shipping and then the installation?
Mr. Chairman, to the Councilman Raggatelli, that was all in-house labor. We paid for the labor, we paid for the cutting down. We transported and we put it up. So and the decorations were put up by us also.
So yeah, so
By the city, I'm
relatively,
sorry.
yeah, so relatively speaking, I mean, we had a pretty hefty expense in getting that tree, hauling that tree. Obviously, it wasn't something we contracted out. So so for the public square tree, that's just going to the installation of that tree is being done by who?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, the installation, we will still have to help with some of the installation, getting a bucket truck or something out there to make sure that we're doing that, but we wouldn't have to put all of our labor out there for 2-3 days to do that. But this tree would go up and come down pretty easily. Again, we also had to take the trees out. So it was not just putting them up, it was taking them down, and the labor costs were pretty expensive.
So in the case of the public square, who would be responsible for taking it down and storing it?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, they would be responsible for storing it. We would also help to take it down again because of the 50-foot tree. We'd probably get a bucket truck out there for them.
Okay.
To get that down, but it would not be 20 to 25 people trying to remove this tree.
And you said that they have already identified a model and a make of a tree.
Mr. Chairman, to the council, yes, they have. They've identified this Northwest conifer model tree.
So if we can, if you can send over at whatever time, at any time, what that model is, and just so we can have a peek at it.
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I still kind of like that 50-foot shiny metallic tree. I still have one of those lights that swirl around with all the different colors. I'm sure Manager Swatowski has one too.
Yeah.
But it was a neighborhood staple for those silver trees.
Yeah, we used to, we used that same, that same light for our black and white TV. So I do understand.
And that was well before Councilman Hairston was born in the 60s. So the tree for City Hall, I mean, as City Hall is still shut down, the rationale for putting a tree up, if we're still closed to the public?
Well, Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, even the rationale, even if we're still close to the public, which I don't know if we will be, but it's still a celebration. And even if the city, the employees are back to work, it's still nice to have that celebration of Christ's birth in the City Hall. So we would still put the tree up.
I understand that, but we're only open 3 days a week, part-time for half-time for only a portion of the employees. Now, I'm not trying to be a Grinch, but given the circumstances, I'd put up a Festivus poll, and we can have the airing of the grievances or something to get our way through the rest of this year. But I just was concerned on the expense when we're not even open and only have part-time employees here. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Director, from my understanding, the tree is guaranteed for 7 years, but some cities have had these trees for 20 years.
Some cities, DCA, especially downtown, because it's outside, did some checking with other cities on their process for putting these trees up. And most cities are no longer using live trees. The expense, again, to most cities has been more than they have. We've been doing this for eons, putting this tree in City Hall. So again, we're just trying to get this where it is not an expense every year, that this expense is a one-time expense, except for some smaller amounts of labor. And again, we're just dealing with the DCA tree. I call it DCA tree, the public square tree, in this legislation. The tree that we're dealing with inside, we're bidding out. We hope to have, I would think that we hope to have City Hall open by December. and to the public and to our employees coming back to work. So to Councilman Brackatelli's question. So we'll be prepared to do that or not.
Thanks, Director. But the reason I'm saying 20 years, the tree that we put in City Hall will not be outdoors. It won't have to suffer the ravages of the weather.
No, it'll be indoors. And then, you know, at 20 years, Mr. Chairman, believe me, that'll make 70 years of service. I'm not gonna be here. Good Lord, hope, you know,
it'll last 3-4 times that.
Yes, it'll last, especially because it's indoors.
Right. Councilman Bishop.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, to the director, how much do we approximately spend on the tree at City Hall on a yearly basis? Have you calculated that?
Mr. Chairman, to the councilman, I can calculate that. I listen, I know that I bring my parks crews in, I bring my urban forestry crews in. We cut it down. I can calculate the hourly rate and get that to this body.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, now, Director, several years ago, they were putting up the tree and we had a snowstorm and they had to stop putting up the tree and go take care of the snow. Do you recall that?
Mr. Chairman, I recall every year we look for a tree because my special events manager who's on the phone now and my urban forester and operations forester, they go out looking, and whenever we have to stop because of windstorms or whatever else we have to do, then we have to wait to put it up. So again, the trees are getting very hard to find, the donated trees. That's ones that look good enough to put up. So they become hard to find. So whatever issue we have out there operationally, we have to stop to do that before we can put the tree up. To your question, sir.
One other comment, Director, it doesn't make sense to kill a tree when we can do better by getting a false tree, a pre-made tree that's already decorated. Now, what are you going to do with the kids from the recreation center to make decorations to go on this tree?
Mr. Chairman, and years, for the last 3 or 4 years, we've bought smaller trees that we put in between the columns. And that's what we put, because you couldn't get all the decorations on the big tree. Yeah. We've purchased about 10 smaller trees that the kids put their decorations on that are set in between the columns during the holiday season. And
now,
so we start putting them on the tree.
Are you still going to do that?
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Anybody else got anything? Without objection, orders number 654-2020 about the Christmas tree stands approved.
Thank you.
We are finished.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask, other than the, I just want to make sure that we're prepared for the committee of the whole. Will these pieces go to another committee after your committee, or will they go directly to the committee of the whole?
Some of them will. You'll have to ask Kimberly. Can you answer that?
I just want to be prepared.
Sorry, I can't, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, most of them, Director, go to finance.
Okay.
Because we're usually last on the line except for finance.
Okay, I wanted to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
All right, thank you. We're finished.